Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the movable body here from Wave. I got this in recently, and a few of you had asked to have a look at this because you were interested in it. So here we are taking a look at this sooner than later. This is in flesh tone, the standard type, and there's a couple other types that are coming out in the near future. I believe those are also coming out from Wave as far as I can remember, but basically the other ones that are coming out, there's an A, B, and C version, and they have different hairstyles on them, and they have a different face with them as well. And also different corresponding chest size for the A, B, and C versions. But anyway, this is a female type 1/12 scale construction kit, so it's basically like sort of a blank frame of a frame arms kit, sort of a frame arms girl kit, I should say. But it's from Wave, so it's going to be a little bit different, obviously, from your Kotobukiya kits. But you can see that the construction overall looks pretty much the same. They pretty much are taking like a frame arms girl kit and just sort of maybe simplifying it in a couple areas, but overall it's going to be pretty much the same. So on the back of the box here you can see the runner layout there. It's just going to be all in flesh tone, of course. On the side you can see a couple of just like sample poses there. Nothing really too crazy or too dynamic in terms of the posing of that. On this side as well you can see where it's separated. The main outer body parts all in polystyrene, but then like the joint parts are all in ABS. And then down here just a closer up image of just the face, like the blank face that it has. And then hand options, looks like it has open hands, closed fists, and then it has a little display stand with it. So let's get it cracked open. Let's see what we've got inside here. The runners as well, right off the bat, look like Kotobukiya runners. So yeah, kind of funny this is made by Wave, but it certainly looks like it's something made by Kotobukiya. Now, as I mentioned in the video when I got this in the mail, the reason why I got this, or what I think I'll probably end up using this for, is making a Gundam girl kit. Don't have any particular plans at the moment, but someone brought up the idea of making my own sort of mascot kind of character, making like a Zaku girl kit as like a mascot for my channel. I like that idea. It's a pretty good idea, so that might be what I end up doing with this. It's not going to be something I'm going to be working on in the near future, but maybe sometime later this year or something we'll maybe try to get to that. But here's the instructions, obviously, and so it's going to be all pretty standard. You're just putting it together, and yeah, just based on the construction, I can't tell. It looks, some parts of the construction do right off the bat look a little bit different. Other parts do look the same as with like a frame arms girl kit. So I feel like if you've built any of those, you're probably going to have a good idea of how this goes together. But let's get a look at the runners here. Alright, so here's runner A, and you can see at the top there it has in Japanese movable body, and then the runner label A. For this one you can see it's just basically just a bunch of joint parts here, and I believe this would be our this would be our ABS runner here for the kit, although I can't see the ABS label anywhere on here. Just based on the diagram showing which parts are in ABS, I'd say it's these parts here anyway. Runner B for a few more little parts here as well. I think these are also in ABS plastic. Runner C, then, these are going to be our polystyrene parts. You can see parts for the back of the chest, the head, the feet there, and the waist section. It's all very small, so it's 1/12 scale, but it definitely looks smaller than a frame arms girl kit. Runner D, here's some parts for like the center of the body and the thighs, and then our base piece there. Runner E here looks like it's just parts for the upper and lower arms. Runner F, parts for the legs, and also should just quickly mention no seam lines on these. They're just solid pieces, so that's pretty nice. Then runner G, obviously our hands here, our open hands are one piece, but the closed fists are two pieces, so you will have a seam line on those, unfortunately. And then runner H is the breast piece. So that's it for the runners, but just so you can see how like the future versions do also include this head, but they include another one, so they'll probably have a different runner while they will omit this piece, and they'll have probably another runner, which I guess would be runner I or whatever after that, which will have like the new part for the chest and the new parts for the face for the future versions. So let me get this built up, and then we'll take a look at how it comes together. Alright, so here is how it looks when it's all built up. Didn't really take all that long, and it definitely feels much smaller than a frame arms girl kit. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I'm right about the fact that frame arms girls kits are usually thought to be about 1/12 scale, but I could be wrong about this. But this definitely, I mean, compared to 1/20 scale figures and like 1/8 scale figures that I have, I know this definitely feels between them, so it definitely feels right that it looks right to be about exactly 1/12 scale of like a normal human body. But frame arms girls, now I'm thinking, are probably something a little bit closer to like 1/8 scale or 1/7 even. But anyway, the point is that it looks really cool, and then the articulation is quite nice. It doesn't have quite the articulation of a frame arms girl kit. We'll go over all the articulation here in a moment, but Yeah, it does come together pretty nicely, and it feels solid, and it should be a pretty nice kit, just in terms of its size, especially for use with kit bashing with the HG kits. So if you're looking for something to build like a Gundam Girl kit with kit bashing with an HG, then I think this will be a really good base for this. And then for a size comparison, here it is compared with an HG model kit there with the RX-782, and then with the Frame Arms Girl materia there. So you can see a Frame Arms Girl kit going to be considerably larger, but very close in size to an HG Gundam. Let's talk about the articulation a bit. I'll pull it off the base, and I'll just mention that the base is pretty nice, works pretty well, and you have a hole there underneath both the left and the right foot, so you can use that pretty easily. Here at the neck, you can bring the head up to about there, which is pretty nice for looking up, and then down all the way to there, so that's all pretty good. Of course, full rotation there and everything on that. Shoulders are going to be able to just basically move around like this. You have a joint there that will move up and down, and then you can just, of course, rotate this whole thing around before it starts to pop out of there. So no really fancy joint there in the shoulder or anything. It's relatively simple. And of course, you can turn this upper arm part as well. The lower arm as well, you can rotate it there at the elbow, and then you can bend that to really only about 90 degrees, unfortunately, so you can't get any more of a bend out of that. And then just straight to there. The wrist is just on a ball joint, but it's pretty minimal, the amount of movement you can get out of that. Again, it's mostly just rotation for the most part. We have a ball joint here between the stomach and the chest, so you can move that around a little bit, not really side to side, but of course rotate that as well. But basically it's just going to give you your little bit of forward and back movement there for the chest. And then a joint down here as well between like the waist and the stomach section as well, for that, moving that forward and back like that. When the T-shaped hip joint there inside there is pushed all the way up, that's going to give you like the least amount of openings here between these parts, but then that's also going to limit your forward movement of the leg. You're only going to be able to bring the leg forward to about there, but if you pull down this joint a little bit, it's kind of the same thing that works with like a lot of Frame Arms Girls kits. Pull that out a little bit, it opens up the gap there, but if you wanted to get the leg farther up, you can use that as a way to do that, but that's going to give you a pretty unsightly gap there in the back though, so it just depends on the kind of pose that you want to go for. But like with the Frame Arms Girl, we have a split here in the middle of the thigh where you can rotate the leg like that. But anyway, down to the knee, unlike with the elbow, you do actually have a double joint here, so you're able to get a pretty nice full bend there at the knee. That's pretty good. And then down at the ankle, you can of course rotate the foot as well as moving that forward and back a little bit. Not really too much, but a little bit anyway. So that's going to be it for the video, guys, for the review of this. Hopefully that was helpful or interesting for some of you who may be interested in something like this. I know a lot of you probably are not going to be too interested in something like this, not really going to have much use for it. But I hope this was at least helpful for those of you who may find this interesting. If you're like me and you want to try maybe doing some sort of like custom kit bash Gundam Girl sort of thing, or just using this to make your own just kind of anime figure or something like that, it makes a really good base for that if you want to just make your own figure by just taking this and getting a nice pose with this, and then just kind of filling in all the gaps here and there with some epoxy putty just to make it look like, so it doesn't have joints, to make it look more like a human body. You could definitely do that, and that might be something that I might think about doing with mine ultimately for whenever I make it into a kit bash as well. But for those of you who are maybe interested in this sort of thing, yeah, there it is. There's the movable body. I'm thinking if I want to get one of the other ones that's coming out later, like I mentioned before with the different head and chest options for that. It's a pretty cool thing. I think could be really useful for doing some really cool custom work. So I don't know, I'll think about getting another one, but I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this one here first, I think. So if you guys have any other suggestions or ideas, of course, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. Any questions as well, feel free to leave those there also. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.